Howdy, folks. This is a Scott Joplin tune, and it's played for an old friend of mine, Howard Wildmonster, master of the five-string classic banjo. And we've known each other easily 40 years. And when I say an old friend, well, Howard is in fact part of my parents' generation. We share the same birthday. Howard, bless his heart, will be 91 this August, and he just asked me to, out of the blue, put together a list of 10 what I thought were the best Joplin pieces, Scott Joplin pieces, which can't be done, but for Howard, why not? You know, I put together 10, but the next day I realized I'd left out one of the most precious, and it's unpardonable because it's the piano roll only one, Silver Swan. So I wrote back Howard and I said, you know, chop one of the others off and put Silver Swan on. And one thing led to another, and it became a list of 12 instead of 10 because Howard had thought of one too. And anyways, you can't rank Joplin pieces. Well, you can, but Silver Swan, to me, ranks equally with Magnetic Rag. It's a late piece of his, and it's enormously significant to American ideology, history. What it is sure, it's a ragtime two-step, but it's a grand procession in essence. And it's not a procession of joy. It's a procession of great pride. And it's a procession of departure. After all, the Swan part of the title, do you think that Joplin didn't have some clue as to using that title, that it was one of his last pieces? And it's a very solemn procession, and it has one of his most beautiful melodies in the trio section, at least I find it that way. I hope you all do too. It was almost lost to the world, folks, because in the later years, Scott Joplin's music wasn't accepted for publication. I guess there wasn't enough money in it, you know. And the Stern Company, it did his rags in 1912, thereabouts, you know. Well, they weren't around when Magnetic came out. He had to put out money he didn't have, I guess, to publish Magnetic and Tremonisha, the opera. Nobody would touch that. Irving Berlin, I know, supposedly had it in his hands, and you know, it never went anywhere. Silver Swan never made it to sheet music print until the big Joplin revival in the early 70s, when you know, the Sting movie came out and everything, and then finally it got transcribed from the piano roll, because it came out on a piano roll. Joplin, somehow he must have mailed the manuscript up to upstate New York National Music Roll Company, and they cut it on a roll. And that roll took all of 40 plus years to surface. I think it was in the 1960s the first copy turned up. It didn't even have a label. It didn't have to, because you listen to it and you know it's Joplin right away. And America didn't think enough of the tune or weren't aware of the cultural significance of this music to even publish it. There's no copy at the Library of Congress, and the roll isn't around. I mean, there's maybe 5, 6 copies at best. Anyway, enough of talk. This is for you, Howard, and the rest of the world. Silver Swan, a ragtime two-step, also a parting processional, I believe, by Mr. Scott Joplin.